Welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world. Today, we have a special guest by the name of John Phillips. John Phillips is an individual who's very creative. He has to be very creative in order to be in the business that he's in. He has a company called FASTSIGNS. FASTSIGNS is something that, brings the attention to you wherever you go. If you're driving to a location, you see these billboards up there with all kinds of signs, or you go to walking down the street. Signs are important because it gives you direction. You know where you have to go. So I want to welcome on the show, John Phillips. Thank you for being on the show today, John.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me.
Great. It's an honor to talk to you, because now we're talking about a different type of topic. There's something, but it's very important because I think it's something that we need in our daily lives.
Oh, yes.
Whatever we do, wherever we go, even in our dreams, sometimes signs pop up. So it's an important part of life. Can you tell us a little bit about what is it that you're doing per se, and what made you get into this business?
Well, what made me get into it is I'm retired from automotive in Detroit, and I've set up a lot of warehouses, and in the warehouses you have signs, incoming, outgoing, truck docks. And they gave me an aptitude test, and they said, you should be in the sign business. And I said, I've never done it. I've ordered signs, but I've never done it. And they said, no, you know all about automation and digital. I used to program robots and automate stuff. And they said, you'd be perfect for it. You can understand what people need for a warehouse and architects and stuff.
Well, today with the modern day technology, with everything that's going on, signs are very important.
Yes.
And as you look, we were talking before about here in Las Vegas, how important it is. You go down the strip in Las Vegas, and what happens there? You start looking around, and you're wondering, which hotel you got here to Las Vegas for the first time.
Where to park.
Where to park is one thing very important.
Which direction you go in the parking garage.
Right.
I didn't realize really how many signs there are and how dependent I was until I got into the business. And of course, there's the popular song from the 70s, the signs, everywhere there's a sign. And there is. You don't really realize it till you get in here and see just how dependent we are on them every day.
Yeah, there's all kinds of signs. I mean, there's signs that you look at, and there's signs in life in general.
Yes.
You get a sign say, hey, you know what, baby, you're ready to go. You got a sign.
Yeah.
But we're talking about seriously. When we're talking about signs, we really mean about where we're going in direction, something that we want to capture the attention of somebody. You want to make sure that you catch that. Let's say you're driving down the street and you see this beautiful building, and they have an office at the bottom, and they got a sign on the bottom, and you go by and say, that sign doesn't look too good. That sign kind of looks kind of beat up. And so then me, as an outsider, I said, yeah, I want to go in there, but if that's the kind of sign they have, I wonder what it must be looking like inside.
Yeah. Yeah, or their cleanliness or their equipment. We're rebranding, and it used to be more than fast, more than signs. We're changing to make a statement. Because of exactly as you said, the sign outside makes a statement as to who or what you are. And if it's beat up, peeling, falling off, the statement is, I don't care enough about my business to keep up my outside. So we're rebranding with exactly as you just said. Yeah.
Now, there's also, senior community. Let's say you go to a senior community. You want to go in there. Sometimes, seniors, they reach a certain age that sometimes their balance is not right. And what happens? Sometimes, what signs do you recommend that they have in the senior community?
Well, Joe, of course, we're a franchise, and we do a lot of work and research, and our franchise keeps us up to date. They've actually released a bulletin now that says, creating signs for an aging generation that is on the go. And they have worked with us to say that as we get older, we're active. Our generation is out playing tennis, pickleball. I think you told me there's a boxing league for 55 and older, which just astounded me.
I think it's 35 and over.
Okay.
But still, a senior. I mean, I saw a guy on TV the other day. They had a little clip of a guy who was 72 years old in a ring box. I said, what?
Wow.
I mean, I'm older than that, and I still feel like I got a little spark of the old Flash.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well, my production and installer, he's 1 year younger than me, 61. And he's thinking about joining the hockey league here in Las Vegas for seniors, 55 and plus hockey
Yeah,
team.
it's good. Good thing he's not with the Golden Knights.
I think it's in the same arena.
Same arena.
But what the fast signs taught us is they say, eyesight still diminishes with age.
Right.
And I think you've had some issues along there and had some operations. So we have to, especially our emergency signs,
Right.
For our aging population, use bigger font.
Right.
Where maybe when we were 20, we could read that size. Maybe now we got to be bigger. And we have to have the color differential so it sticks out.
Exactly.
Because as we get older, our colors in our eyes aren't as sharp as they used to be. So we have to make our signs not so much cute, but black or red and white, black and white, things that the eyes can still see. Because as you said, our generation is still out there playing pickleball, playing hockey. Maybe their vision isn't quite as good, but they're still active.
Yeah, but if they fall and they're there, they may be playing paddleball up against a wall by themselves, and they trip and fall, get hurt. What do you have? What will you put in that area? What should be in that area in case an emergency arises?
Right. In fact, one of my clients just had this, and if we could, Rick, could you pull up slide 6 for me, please?
Yeah, so these
And on here, it's a 55 and plus community, and they have pickleball courts, tennis courts, shuffleboard courts. It's a great place.
Yeah.
And a lady fell. I don't know the exact thing, but of course, of our age, we got artificial hips, we got artificial knees, something popped out,
Right.
and she couldn't walk. And she's laying in the middle of the court. She could get her cell phone. And she dialed the 911, and the operator says, "Where are you, ma'am?" She says, "Well, I'm in the middle of the pickleball court." Any special pickleball court in Las Vegas. And she couldn't really remember. She remembered the big cross streets, but it's quite a ways away from the big streets, and they had a hard time finding her. So the association wanted us to make signs that was shown there that says, call 911 and tell the operator, here's your address.
Right.
You're here. And then here's the management phone number. So call this and tell the front desk that you're here so they can send out, the official managers and stuff to greet the people, to get there faster than the emergency. Yeah. And it's, I've started looking, there are very few of our courts have an emergency, where are you number. Right. I live in a condo. We have a gym. 5:30 in the morning, we get up early to install the signs before the heat. Yeah. And there's a gentleman in there. He was running on the treadmill all by himself at 5:20 in the morning. Right. And I know there's no sign there in that gym. Yeah. If he fell off that treadmill, ankle came out or knee came out.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
I don't know if he'd know what to call.
Yeah, and hopefully he had a phone nearby him where he could reach to the phone.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And most seniors walk around with phones these days, because they know that they should at least have a phone in case they get a call. But I mean, it's so important. Those signs that you recommend at these locations. I mean, any training facility, any gym, any park where you're walking, anything, wherever early morning, you see a lot of seniors walking by themselves, walking with their dog. Maybe they trip and fall there. They're in trouble.
But even our community has a small basketball court. Okay. And I stopped to get the mail, and there was a older gentleman and probably his grandson, and they were out shooting some baskets. Really great, for both generations. But if the older man would have had some situation, the young boy was probably 9 or 10. Yeah. There's no sign on the court, right. And a 10-year-old can use a phone, but he may not be aware of where he's at. Exactly. So if he had a sign there that says 911 and tell him, here's where it's at, it could be a lifesaver.
Talking about basketball, just for you viewers out there, look at the Joe Cortez basketball on YouTube, and you'll see Joe Cortez throwing shots behind the back. 13 of them. They're not all one after the other, except for 11 and 12 are back-to-back. Check that out anyway on YouTube. Just put out Joe Cortez basketball. You'll see me with a yellow shirt. Then you'll see those shots behind the back. At my late age, throwing shots behind the back. It's unbelievable.
Well, we're an active older generation.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my mother and father, they were in a retirement home and in the bed, and they didn't go out and exercise. But it's important that we do. Some of the statistics here show that older people over the age of 55 that are active to the National Institute of Health standards can reduce diabetes, cancer, blood pressure, hypertension by 50%. I mean, those are significant numbers just to go out and play some basketball with your grandson to, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was doing that day with my grandson, Bryce Hampton, who's plays for Purdue University now. Yeah. September 1st will be his first big game. He's a senior. Yeah. He's a cornerback, and you'll see him. Anyway, let's go back to your story. I love your story. Your story. I'm glad I have you on the show because the way you're telling it is so informative that we all need today. No matter where we go, what age you are, you need to have signs for direction, what to do next. Now, what is your daily work? I mean, you have your FASTSIGNS store, which is here in the northwest side of Las Vegas. Yes. The cross streets is 95 and Ann Road, and that's Centennial Hills. Yes. That's the location. Yep. FASTSIGNS.
Yep. In Rio Vista Plaza, right across from Team Chevrolet, Team Ford, Albertsons.
So keep on telling us, tell us a little bit more of why it's so important with these signs. I mean, you go all over, you drive, even on the highway. You're going on the highway, that's another thing that happens as well. Yeah. A lot of people don't even think about it, but here we are, we're brainstorming, whatnot. We think about you're driving and something happens and you have an accident. A lot of seniors cannot either get a feeling that they're feeling a pain in their heart or whatever, and they got to pull over, and they don't know who to, or they call on the phone, but they don't know their location. Should there be any signs on the highway that you think the states should look at this, about maybe putting signs every so often? I mean, like at least like maybe 2 or 3 signs within 1 mile. So a sign that somebody can see it, they can walk and say, I'm at this location, I have an accident, I don't feel well. It should be, the highway is very important. What do you think?
Yeah.
That's something with the state, but the state program should be handling something like that. Right. And if they don't have it, I think it's something that your company should look into and see maybe to help out. But that's a lot of accidents. If you look at the statistics, how many seniors have some kind of a health issue, and while they're driving, they got to pull over, and they want to call an ambulance, but they don't know where they're at.
Right. So that's another changing situation with the technology. When the federal highways were built, there's mile markers. Okay, and you can tell them, if you're watching and you know, there's little numbers along the road that says you're at mile marker 7, 8, something. That's how we used to identify where the crash was. Yeah. Rick, could you pull up slide number 6 again, please? Nowadays, you see I have the location number down there, and those are the GPS coordinates. So on your phone, if you type in those numbers or tell the 911 operator, I'm at those numbers, they have their cell phones, and that will bring them within, I think, about 10 feet of your location. Okay. And all the fire departments, as I understand it, and I'm not an expert, but the 911 and the modern phones automatically transmit these coordinates to the 911 operator, so they know within 10 feet of where you're at. Okay, see. But if you have an older phone, or if you send a text message to 911 because you can't breathe, you can't talk, the text message doesn't transmit those locations. Yeah. And it works for all of our modern phones, and the fire, police, they all use this to get there. So it's a new technology that should be there.
I'm glad we're talking about that, because these are things that I don't even know about. You see? I mean,
if you just take that number, punch it into your phone, I put that number, that's my office chair, and it'll come up on Google Maps. You'll see where my office chair is in our building.
Oh, great. Yeah. Modern day technology today is unbelievable.
But we don't use it.
Yeah.
Such an important thing, and yet
Well,
nobody knows about it.
that's why we have you on the show, because I knew that having you on here would be very informative for people to know exactly what to do. Any little tips that you can give them is very helpful these days.
Yeah, we should use more of that. Like I say, the 911 emergency people use it, and it's automatically transmitted if you got and I don't know which model phone, but a lot of seniors are in fixed income.
Right.
And maybe they got an old phone from 2006, like the old Nokia I used to have, which is still a great phone. But it didn't have any maps. It was text message only. But if you're on a fixed income, maybe you still have that phone.
Yeah.
It still functions great as a phone.
Right.
But
Those little flip phones like.
Yeah. But it doesn't transmit the GPS coordinates.
You see that?
Because it's too old.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm glad that we have you here, because these are the things that people want to know. And maybe those seniors will say, you know what, call their family members, say, listen, I want to get an upgrade on my phone, because what Mr. Smith was saying on the show was so informative, and it's better to get that sooner than later.
Yes, it is, especially if you're an active adult and you're walking down the city park trails or you're out hiking.
Exactly.
There's no crossroads out in Red Rock hiking trails, but there are GPS coordinates.
Now, as far as business, individuals have a business. We know mostly everybody prints business cards and banners and things like that are important. Or you have a special event, you want to get a banner made. They're called FASTSIGNS. Yep. And that's what you guys do. How long of a period it will take to get? Let's say I need a 3 by 10 banner as soon for a weekend event. How fast can you make a banner for me?
Well, we of course like to have as much notice as possible in case we have other big jobs running. If we don't have any jobs running and we have the material in stock, it can be a day, within the day. We've done emergency stuff. I just saw a message come through. He needs an emergency sign by 3:30 this afternoon. We do a lot of work with a general contractor who's remodeling a hospital here. Okay. And they usually give us a couple days, for their signs, new emergency room, ambulances only, because they're doing construction, right? So it changes. I see they're having a city inspection, and the city inspector they forgot to order a couple signs to make the city inspector happy. Right. So they just called and said, can you have them here by 3:30 this afternoon? Okay. The inspector's there. Yeah. So we get some of those, and we try to accommodate that as much as possible.
Now, let's say I have a location, like let's say a hospital, and I say, I want you to come on over. I need somebody to give me an estimate of what it would cost to put. Would you send people out to the location to do the measurements, take pictures, and everything?
Give recommendations for what we should do, and pick and choose, and yes, we can do that. Yeah, that's and we're aware of the laws. For example, Joe, Southern Nevada Health District, they manage all the aquatic features here in Southern Nevada, i.e. swimming pools, and they've just changed the law. Actually, they changed the law 3 years ago. You can't have a Nevada certificate. You have to have a national certificate to operate a swimming pool. Okay. And so they've given you 3 years until July 1st, 2022, which is, 28 days ago. 28 days ago, yeah. And you have to now have a national pool operator certificate, and you have to change your sign.
No, this for public pools or every pool?
Public pools. Public pools.
Okay, so those that have homes don't have to worry about that. But if it's a public area,
a community pool at a community pool. HOA, homeowners association, or city pool.
You see, so that's very important, because a lot of people, I'm sure, they don't know that. No, you don't see no notices on television about that. That's something that's so important for you viewers out there to understand that. Now, this is a national certificate about your pool. There is a sign there right now, and that's so important.
And so this is the new sign. It's all the same at the top, but and this is your name, the phone number who to call, and your certificate number in case there's a health hazard. And from what I understand is the inspectors are really pushing this post-COVID because the pools were shut down with the COVID for a long time, and there's still, so they want to know, is this pool maintained up to proper standards?
Yeah, right, proper standards. I think a lot about that when I go to a hotel and I take the family there, and especially the kids, and you take them there, and you got to make sure that water is right, because a lot of things can go in that water instead of running to a bathroom. The young kids will do it right there in the pool.
And there's a lot of talk about COVID, but the reality is there's a lot of other things. And I'm not going to say worse than COVID, but more common than COVID that lives in the water.
And that's something the city got to stay on top to make sure if you go to a public pool, you know where you're getting yourself into.
Right. But let's say you identified something in the past. Who'd you call?
Right.
There's no phone number on any of these other required signs.
Right. Wow.
Well, now you've got the pool operator certificate. You can call Southern Nevada Health District and say XXX, certificate number XXX, and here's the picture. So
now how about elevators? And I always thought about elevators. In the elevator, sometimes there are some signs that says you got the emergency red button in case you get stuck or whatever. But is there something else? There should be other signs. I think there should be other. It should be upgraded.
Yeah, I mean, there's some small signs. This is push the button, or there's emergency phones that go to the central desk in a big property, During COVID, we did a lot of elevator signs with, the stand here, only 4 people per elevator, depending on the size, to keep our social distancing, which has kind of gone by the wayside.
You think people really abide by the rules when they have 4 people in the elevator and they're running late to go to work, and they're like 2 minutes before 8 o'clock in the morning they got to be in, and they're afraid they're going to not punch the clock on time? You think they're going to jump in the elevator regardless that they disobey the rules?
They follow the rules, Joe. It's really amazing to me how people are conditioned over the years to follow the rules.
I'm in the elevator. I'm the 4th one in the elevator. Somebody's going to come and say, sorry, back off.
And the other people will, especially during COVID.
You got to play policeman sometimes.
Yeah. So we do some sign work for a local restaurant up there in Centennial Hills.
Okay.
And their to-go pick-up parking only sign blew off, or somebody stole it. So there was 2 of them. One, the sign's still there, one, the sign wasn't. So I bring the sign, and there was a car parked here, but the cars don't park in that takeaway parking only. They really don't. They follow it. There's nobody there. But because the sign was missing, a car parked there.
Right.
So I come and I put the sign up. And I just had this funny thing that, a man and a wife come out, and she starts beating him, saying, I told you this was to-go parking. And he said, the sign wasn't there when I parked.
Yeah. But I tell you, it's so important that these signs, everything is part of our daily lives. It's things that we have to, sometimes worry about. But and if we don't know, what to do.
Handicap parking.
Handicap parking.
There's a few violators, but most people follow that pretty religiously.
Those fines are $250 and up, depending how the policeman. That's very important because you see people parking in a handicap park, and they go in there. You can see them walking out of there, hopping and dancing. They went there. There's nothing wrong with this guy. Eh?
Well, but remember, there's underlying health conditions. There's heart issues and stuff, and you can't see a heart issue, right? Or blood pressure, or migraine headaches, or there's a variety of things that do justify it, but maybe you can't see it on the outward.
Now somebody has a sign signs already put up already, but it's been up there for years, and you can see that it needs a replacement. That's where when you drive by, or don't you, like we talked about it at the beginning of the show, but these people, they just go outside, take a look. Sometimes they take it for granted because they go there every day. They don't realize themselves that their sign is falling apart. And they got to have it come in. You do anything with neon lighting or any signs like that, or plastic? You handle that?
We don't have the electrical contractor's permit, but we do work with some other companies who do, and we can design it and source it and stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is a way of you getting big signs put up. You have a subcontractor who comes in and it fills it where what you don't do.
Right.
So these people still can call Fast Signs
Yeah,
to get an estimate and
and, work,
whatnot.
and get the design, because we have a designer on staff.
You do that.
And,
So that's very important. A lot of individuals out there don't understand that putting up a sign is not just putting up a sign. It's about what's the latest, which is the best thing. Like back in the 50s, early 60s, a lot of it was black and white, as you mentioned before. But color is so important these days because it brings out a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Especially here in Las Vegas, the city of lights.
So yes. So a interesting fact is, and Fast Signs teaches us the human brain likes certain colors.
Right.
And two of the most contrasting colors that stick with us are red and yellow.
Red and yellow.
What fast food restaurants have red and yellow on their big billboards and stuff?
I know that Big M is...
the Big M is one. BK, Burger King, really all of them do.
Yeah, Starbucks
you look
and all
at
that.
Starbucks, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Chick-fil-A are bright red.
Yeah.
The majority
you
of
did
them,
something not too long ago nearby Chick-fil-A with that location. They have that new restaurants that opened up.
Yeah, we work with them and some of their small signs and the inside signs.
Yeah.
They have a national company that comes and does the big ones.
Yeah, now with this COVID situation, have you noticed any changes of things that you had to adjust in your company as far as signs are concerned? And we talked about the spacings on the floors every 4 or 5 or 6 feet, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you do that, but anything that you do that will enhance the location as far as beautifying, because sometimes you put stuff up there because of COVID, all these plastic signs or anything. Do you guys design the proper signs proper with plastic? They have these walls by the cashier. You go and they have like almost like a bank. You know, you have this in front of you covering. What do you do with that?
Well, it's funny. I just read an article on that. We call them germ guards. And in the early days of COVID, we just threw them up. You know, just sheets of plexiglass up there. The employees now are feeling more safe and want to keep them.
Yeah.
Even though they're not required anymore with the relaxing of the COVID rules. And if you notice at a lot of major stores, they've removed maybe half of it. But the direct face-to-face right there, they've kept it because the employees just feel better.
Yeah.
So now they want to keep them, maybe not necessarily for COVID, but just for the operators. And we can go into more design. We can make the germ guard look like a pair of eyeglasses or whatever the product is, or if it's a supermarket, carve the acrylic into a vegetable or some product or their logo.
Right.
You know, and it still provides the same function, but it's a little more architecturally blending in and doesn't look like a prison cell.
Yeah, and also now you got for the holidays coming up. The holidays is so important because, I mean, I think that signs for the holiday, like you have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, you have Easter. Those days, those holidays, I think those signs are important to bring more attention to their visitors as well.
Yeah. Again, we do some work with the restaurants, and they put the cheap foam boards up where the people are waiting for their reservation to come up and read about, you know, Mother's Day dinner, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, what's on the menu, set price.
So you want to get
working with a golf course right now who has a lovely restaurant, but there is no signs outside to know. Nobody knows there's a restaurant in there.
Now, which golf course is this?
Huh?
Which golf course is this?
It's in Centennial Hills. It's close to our store.
Okay, so we have to get their attention to realize this is what we need today because of the...
Yeah, we're quoting them a sign. I was just there last night measuring it and looking at the size and stuff like that.
That's so important because, like I said before, the reason why we have John Smith on the show is because I know it's going to bring a lot of attention, a lot of interest to you viewers out there watching, because not every day that we have a guest like John Smith from Fast Signs in Centennial Hills in Las Vegas. But you guys watching around the world, you're also picking up some ideas of what Mr. Smith has to say about science, how important it is. Can you please give us a couple of more words before we close up? We have 20 seconds.
Yeah, please call us. We are idea people. We don't just take orders. We look at your situation and help you with the marketing and the safety aspects of it. We are an international franchise, so we have stuff all over the world that we get ideas from.
Well, you heard it there from John Smith from Fast Signs here in Centennial Hills in Las Vegas. Thank you for viewing this very important show. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.